tofu by eating 8 chocolate fiber bars before a long car ride with family and experiencing the most absurd gas leak in history. This happened a year ago, but I just remembered this horrific event and the poor victims that never fully recovered. I was set to go on a 10-hour road trip through the interior of British Columbia, and with me were 2 of my cousins and my uncle. However, before our 6 AM start, I decided the night before to wolf down these chocolate chip fiber 1 granular bars that had something like 75% of your daily fiber intake. These things were crazy good, and I ended up eating an entire 8 pack of them in one sitting. After that I went to sleep and woke up in the morning to a bloated stomach, but felt fine otherwise. 45 minutes into our ride the cramps began, my stomach grew larger and larger, and I ended up needing to remove my seatbelt and undoing the zipper on my jeans to give it more space to expand. My cousin next to me couldn't believe what he was seeing. He said it was like the blueberry scene from Willy Wonka. I couldn't hold the gas in any longer and asked my uncle to pull over, which he did, and I struggled to get out of my seat as every move was agony. I waddled to the back of the car and let a rip. A thunderous roar escaped me like an asshole racing his Harley Davidson around the block on a Sunday morning. The gas hissed out of me as my stomach grumbled, shuffled, and shuddered. I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that this fart lasted at least 15 seconds. Little did I know that I had just broken the seal, and I would proceed to experience uncontrollable and obnoxiously powerful farts that lasted 10 to 15 seconds on average, with only a brief period of relief between said farts. The fact of the matter was that I was now experiencing major flatulence every 2 to 3 minutes, and we couldn't stop the car every few minutes to escape the smell, so we decided to roll all the windows down and allow me to let loose whenever I needed. However, we had no idea that this would become a much longer ordeal than we initially thought. Truth be told, I couldn't stop farting for nearly 7 hours. And each fart just had to be more epic than the last. By the time our tour rolled around, my anus was sore and aching, and my insides feeling like shards of glass were ripping through me, and the smell had become so overpowering that we had to stop at a gas station and buy as many air fresheners as we could. I took one of the air fresheners and sat on it in the hopes that each fart will be freshened up. Instead it just smelled like rotten eggs and pine. My cousins and uncle resorted to using Vicks around their noses to stop the smell. The pain from constantly farting brought me to tears at one point, and I realized how ridiculous it must look to see a grown man crying while farting non-stop. At hour 4 disaster struck. I stopped farting, but I was still swelling with gas. I knew I was plugged up, and if I didn't do something soon the pain is going to become unbearable. We stopped at a coffee shop and I ran in to use the bathroom. I gingerly sat down on the toilet and gently pushed, but the pain was too much. I resorted to pushing on my stomach to help things along, and suddenly I felt this wave of pressure hit me that made my butt cheeks break into a cold sweat and start to tingle suddenly and without warning. A rock hard turd rocketed out of me like a cannonball and plastered itself to the back of the toilet bowl, and with that this tidal wave of what could only be described as peanut butter rode me. I could feel the muscles in my abdomen squeezing my intestines so hard that it actually hurt. It was like when you are throwing up and you can feel your stomach violently squish itself to push everything out, but instead it was my butt that was throwing up. Once everything was pushed out, it was topped off by the longest fart in my short pathetic existence, one that I could never accurately give the length other than say well over 20 seconds, and that I could literally feel and see my stomach shrinking. I destroyed that poor coffee shop bathroom, and I frequently wonder what happened to the person who wandered in after me. From that point forward the farts were just as frequent and long, but they felt cleaner and less restricted. It began to feel like I was airing my colon out, blowing out all the accumulated dust. My ribs and anus ached horribly, but I was starting to feel euphoria wash over me that I assumed was just the endorphin rush my body was giving as a way to protect my fragile mind from this ridiculous ordeal. By the time hour 7 rolled around, my farts had slowly faded away, but the smell permeated my clothes and the seat behind me. The family had gone through almost an entire container of Vicks, and they appeared to have survived the ordeal, but I could tell that a part of them was broken that could never be fixed. It was as though they felt violated by having to breathe in my butt breath for 7 hours, and I knew my uncle was upset that his car's interior would never smell the same again, as it already smelled like hot garbage by this point. We eventually arrived without incident, and we refused to speak of this event. Things were never really the same between all of us after that, and I have a feeling none of us will ever touch eggs ever again. They already ate enough of my farts. They don't need a reminder. I should have never eaten that much fiber. I had no idea it was capable of that. TL. Doctor, I ate too many fiber bars and ended up gassing my family nearly to death over 7 hours in a car. I made the scientific discovery that your body can produce ridiculously large farts at an alarming rate. 15-second farts on average, with an average rate of 1 fart every 3 minutes. That means I was farting an average of 300 seconds an hour, or 2100 seconds over 7 hours. I farted for 35 minutes. LMAO. Edit. I'm glad that we can all laugh at my fart attack and the pain and suffering that comes from it, but please don't do what I did. I was a dumbass that couldn't stop eating chocolate, and what I did was dangerous. I'm certain you will only hurt yourself if you attempt this, so please do not try this. Also, I meant to individually thank people for awards via inbox, but I lost count after 30 and decided to just say thank you from here. Thank you from here. The image of man crying while ripping enormous farts has made my day. You ate the granular equivalent to a bowl of blow cereal. Good God. I'm over here about to cry from laughter with this. I've experienced the same ordeal and it's misery until it's over, at which point it's absolutely hilarious. Next time take some Gas-X or some other antigas medicine. It'll help lessen the burn and make it less painful, but only for you. Next time. Question mark? Question mark? Thank you for the mathematical breakdown. I learned the hard way not to eat a whole lot of sugar-free candy at once. Explosive diarrhea. I've read a few Tifu posts about that. Usually gummy worms, I think. Could only read 2 to 3 sentences at a time. Frequent breaks needed as I was laughing too hard to read, and my wife was yelling at me to stop shaking the couch with laughter. 10/10ths would read again. Wow. 1 fiber 1 snack does enough of a number on me. It's amazing how you survived this humiliating ordeal. Really? They only do a number 2 for me. I had a similar experience, though didn't last as long. It was a friend in the same car, and it lasted about 30 minutes before we found a petrol station for him to take a shit. These were those rotten smelling, nausea inducing farts. He said that while taking a shit he heard someone else come into the bathroom, say duck that, and walk out. Ha. How do you mayo after that? Sounds like you don't have much ass left for that now. Lol. Seriously though, best laugh I've had in months. One begins to wonder if anal erosion is a thing. Is this real or the best fiber 1 ad ever? I need to try it. Fiber 1 bars will absolutely do this. I have also made the mistake of binging an entire box of them. I have regular digestive problems, but I've never experienced intestinal trauma like that in my life. I left work early and had to call in the next day too. Sometimes my mom will tell me I need more fiber in my diet when my stomach gets in a mood and starts acting up. And every time she says that I get cold sweats, she might be right. It might help, but that's a hard pass from me. I'll never forget a trip I took with my dad and grandfather when I was in grade 8. We decided to go up to my grandpa's hometown, which is about 8 hours away, and stayed with his brother. On the way home my dad and grandpa decided to stop for food. They picked a Greek restaurant, which was odd. Maybe it was the only one around. I'd never had Greek food, and am picky, so I tried to stick to Canadian or American foods. They had some. However, I ate something that my stomach didn't love. Side note, I have IBS and awful gas to begin with. I'm surprised I don't kill people when I go or fart. My dad keeps telling me I'm not fit to shit or fart around humans, and to go dig a hole in the garden. When I poop I open the window, but it often smells the house up, and he gags/opens doors. Well, I farted about 30 times on the way home, and each one was ungodly. My dad and grandpa were rolling the windows up and down all the time, and cursing their choice of restaurant. I had a friend that did this before the Saturday, maybe 4 or 5 bars though, and he held it as long as he could, but he had to have the proctor eventually escort him to the single stall restroom. He said the farts echoed loudly when he finally let it loose. Dude, I remember back in high school I ate like 5 of them. Since school lunches suck and don't fill you up, I got so ducking bloated that on the bus ride home I literally unbuttoned my jeans, pulled my shirt up, and started rubbing my stomach. My friend sitting next to me was losing his mind laughing. When the bus finally got to the bus stop, I waddled my ass to my house, into my bathroom, and ducking gave birth to the largest fart known to mankind. My asshole was gaping for a solid 10 seconds. I thought I gave birth to a cloud or something. I hurt just thinking about this. Did you at least offer some gas money? You know it says on the box to only eat one. Damn lucky nobody in the car was playing with matches. The whole time I thought you were a kid, and then you said grown man, and it changed the story completely. Why, as a grown man, would you eat 8 granola bars in one sitting? Haha. Damn, your ass okay now? Did I just get tricked into reading a fart fetish story? Because this just doesn't feel real. Ultimately, I consider this to be one of the best advertisements for Fiber One Plus granola bars ever created, because I'm definitely adding this to my shopping list. This happened to me when I got stoned and ate a few packs of the Fiber One fudge Pop-Tarts. I could not stop farting. My sister and my best friend still talk about it. It was like 8 years ago. I feel your pain, butthole brother. I ate 3 before a first date. Let me tell you, never again. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. If you enjoyed watching this video, leave your thoughts in the comments below.